Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today we're talking about a pretty sweet adapter for the Nintendo GameCube. So if you're like me, I love using the GameCube to play Game Boy Advance games and Game Boy games using the Game Boy Player attachment. One of the things that really made this system sweet for me, especially using the Eon GCHD Mark II, pretty awesome stuff, output to HDMI. Really enjoy playing my Game Boy games that way. And if you know me, holy crap, do I have a ton of controllers. And I'm always looking for the best ways and different ways to play my games. And there's been a controller for the GameCube that I've been interested in for the longest time. And that's the Hori digital pad for the GameCube. It's the little Super Nintendo style looking controller that was meant for the Game Boy player. And I've watched that thing climb in price over the months, over the years. Jeez, it is an expensive controller for sure. And I really wanted to get one, but now they're upwards of $200 or so for a used controller. I'm not doing it. That's what I say. I'm not doing it. So what if I told you for a nominal fee, I guess you would say, you could use your Super Nintendo Classic Edition controllers, your NES Classic Edition controllers, or even your Wii Classic Pro controller. This one I don't have open. I don't have one of these open at the moment, but at some point we're going to open these bad boys. But what I was really interested in was using the Super Nintendo controller on my GameCube, because that would, make a little more sense for Game Boy Advance games. And that's where this bad boy comes in, the Raphnet adapter, the classic to GameCube adapter. Now, Raphnet's been on my radar for a long time, and I have never purchased anything from them before until I started looking up solutions, and I discovered that they sell exactly what I was looking for. So this adapter was about $30. I believe shipping to me, I'm in California. This shipped from Canada, I believe in Quebec. I'm not 100%, but it shipped from Canada, cost about $8 shipping. So I was in at about $40 for this adapter. Took not too long, I think less than a week. I've been sitting on this for a while, and today we're going to test it out and give you guys my impressions on it. So essentially, we have a little adapter there that you would plug in your classic port, or like, your Wii port that you would use on Wii controllers. So the cool thing with this adapter is it's not just compatible with the GameCube. If you have a Nintendo Wii or Wii U or anything that you can use the GameCube ports on, boom, you can use this. So keep that in mind, because there's a lot of crazy stuff you can do with the Wii, and with all the different options of controllers you can use with this, that Wii Pro Classic, the NES Classic, Super Nintendo Classic, pretty much anything that uses this port, including like the Tatsunoko vs. Capcom controller, that is pretty sweet. Now, there are some different options depending upon the controllers you use, from what I understand, that you can change the button mappings. So for this specific adapter, there's 6 button mappings. And the way you would enable these button mappings is by holding a specific button within the first second of powering on the system with the controller plugged in. Or like, if you already have the system on and then you plug in the controller within a second of that, the adapter being powered up by being plugged in. So to briefly go over our options on button mappings, here we go. 1 mapping. This one you would hold B, and it tells you the uses down here: GameCube games, Virtual Console, SNES games with a classic controller, so on and so forth. Z as triggers mapping. You would hold the ZL button on your classic controller. It's for GameCube games, Virtual Console, SNES. And it does have some notes down here on a Classic Controller Pro. This mapping exchanges the role of the L and R and the ZL, ZR buttons to restore the GameCube feel regarding those positions. So pretty cool stuff. And then you have NES mode. This is done by holding start on your classic controller. It's for Virtual Console NES games with a classic controller, or Virtual Console NES games with an SNES Classic Edition controller. And then Game Boy Player mapping, that's the one I'm more interested in, and we will be testing out today. This one you would enable by holding X for Game Boy Player games with a classic controller or Super Nintendo Classic Edition. And then it does state classic controller YB map to BA for comfort. For SNES Classic Edition controller, use the AB style instead. So they do have another version of that mapping. And this one is the AB style Game Boy player mapping. Enable it by holding A. It's for Game Boy player games with a classic controller or NES Classic Edition. And then a Mega Man Anniversary Collection mapping, which is pretty cool. Hold Y allows you to use your Super Nintendo style controller to play Mega Man Anniversary Collection, which is pretty damn sweet. So I think that's pretty cool. But we're going to go ahead and test this out. I haven't used this yet. We're going to test out some Game Boy Advance games using the Super Nintendo controller. Give you guys my thoughts and opinions. So let's do it. Okay, guys, so we got the Game Boy player booted up with our Super Nintendo Classic Edition controller plugged into our Raphnet adapter. Essentially, this thing's just like a controller extension. It's not very intrusive if you ask me. So before we test out some games, we do have the Game Boy Advance EverDrive plugged in. Just figured it's easier to swap out a couple games real quick. But you'll notice up top, Z button for options. We don't have a Z button on here, but if you do use the Wii Classic Pro controller, you can use the home button for Z. But on the classic Super Nintendo controller, you would hit the X and the A button at one time, and it'll bring that up. So on the Game Boy player, it's only useful to bring up the settings to change your game pack and a few other little things that you have access to. So not a big deal if this is the way you want to play it. So they do have all that listed on the button mappings on the website. So definitely peep that out if you're interested. So let's test out a couple games real quick and see how this works. I haven't used this yet. I kind of got thrown off, and I think maybe my attention, deficit or something. I don't know. I got something going on. Kind of forgot about this thing. I had it for a couple months, and I was really excited when I first got it. And holy crap, guys, I have so many projects and videos. I actually have videos that I recorded like a year and a half ago that I never uploaded, never finished editing and stuff like that. I lose focus on some things. If I'm not feeling it, I just forget about it and it goes to the wayside. I do that way too often. Sometimes it's by accident. I have so many product reviews that, oh my God, that I need to get to. Stuff for the Dreamcast from Baharo Bros, controllers, stuff like that. Just crazy. This I bought with my own money and was really excited and just, man, forgot all about it. But here we go. Let's test out Street Fighter Alpha 3. Not really a game that I would want to play on the Game Boy Advance. Not now. Anyway, not on the Game Boy player, but I think it'll be a nice one to test out the buttons. But back in the day, holy crap. Really cool to have access to this game on the go on the Game Boy Advance. Now, not so much. I mean, there's better ways to play this game, but definitely a good way to test if the buttons and everything functions properly, if we get any kind of interference or anything like that. And so far, D-pad's feeling good. Everything's responding well, so that is good. Let's just jump into this, try to do some moves. I know with the Game Boy Advance, with the limited buttons, it's, it is what it is. We'll figure it out, right? But, this game and some other games that were ported to the Game Boy Advance that were on the Super Nintendo or other systems, and it lacked enough buttons. It kind of had to change some things up a little bit, and this game is no different. It's still very playable, and it does feel good using the Super Nintendo controller so far. Everything is responding well. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I'm not reviewing the controller. I mean, Super Nintendo controller, it's one of my favorite controllers of all time. So can't complain there, but this adapter definitely working some magic, saved me some money, it seems. Most of the Game Boy Advance games that I'd want to play, I'm going to hit the X and A to get into changing the game pack. We'll do that just so we could swap games on the EverDrive. Most of the games that I want to play in the Game Boy Advance don't really require too much. I just kind of wanted to have that comfort of either an NES or Super Nintendo style controller on this system. And, most of the games I'd want to play is role-playing games, Advance Wars, stuff like that. So I don't really want to test that stuff because it's kind of pointless on a video like this. A lot of those games take hell of a long time to get into. So just want to jump into a couple games that are quick and test out the responsiveness. And as long as everything works, it's not like disconnecting or anything like that. No issues. The response feels like it should. Just like I have a GameCube controller plugged in. I don't know what this... oh, I have played this before, I think. Okay, yeah, I remember this. So it's like the one of the newer but older Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle incarnations. And nice, we're playing as Raph, and we're using the Raphnet adapter to use a Super Nintendo Classic controller. Yeah, I remember this game. This game's not too bad. Definitely not as great as, like, you know, Manhattan Project or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, or Turtles in Time or anything like that, but it's okay. Yeah, there was so much shovelware on the Game Boy Advance, my God. So back to the point, the Raphnet adapter, the classic one, to use on your GameCube. They have tons of different adapters. I'll put a link in the description to their website. I'm not affiliated with these guys, never spoke to them or anything. I just wanted to try this adapter out and finally got around to doing it. And I highly recommend it for the price. If you're looking at using something different for your GameCube, your Wii U, whatever the case may be, and you want to use classic style controllers or the Wii Classic Pro controllers, some sweet options out there. Check it out. They have adapters for tons of different systems. People have always spoken highly of the Raphnet adapters, and it was about time I checked them out. If there's any others you guys think I might find interesting or useful, let me know. And if it makes sense, I'll order a couple more adapters to test out and give you guys my thoughts and opinions on. But this one, definitely glad I bought it. Cost me, what, 30, 40 bucks? Instead of buying that Hori pad, which I know the Hori pad is pretty sweet, but not at $200. Ain't doing it, man. Can't do it. If it was a nice-ass arcade stick or something, maybe. But nope. Not a $200 controller, in my opinion. But there we go, guys. Really do appreciate it. With that said, I think we're done. And I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bubble eyes, and boom. Thumbs up or down. Whatever the hell you want to do. Really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.